The wrestling world just exploded with the kind of bombshell that sends shockwaves through every arena and living room where fans gather to witness greatness. Roman Reigns has made his return to WWE television, and he didn't come back alone. Standing beside the tribal chief is none other than Jacob Fatu, the powerhouse from bloodline lineage who has now officially joined the most dominant faction in professional wrestling history. If you want to stay updated on every twist and turn in this incredible saga, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because what's coming next is going to redefine everything you thought you knew about WWE. This isn't just another return. This is the beginning of a new era, and the timing couldn't be more perfect, with Survivor Series looming on the horizon like a storm ready to unleash chaos across the entire WWE landscape. The arena went absolutely insane when Roman Reigns' music hit. Fans jumped out of their seats, some in shock, others in pure jubilation, because the tribal chief had been away from television for what felt like an eternity. His absence created a void that nobody could fill, not even the most talented superstars on the roster. When he walked out, that signature confidence radiating from every step, everyone knew something monumental was about to happen. But then the unexpected occurred. Jacob Fatu, the Samoan powerhouse who had been making headlines in the independent wrestling scene and had family ties that ran deep within the Anoa'i bloodline, emerged right behind him. The two stood side by side, and in that moment, the entire complexion of WWE programming changed forever. Jacob Fatu isn't just some random addition to the bloodline. This man carries the warrior spirit of one of wrestling's most legendary families in his veins. His reputation precedes him as a brutal, relentless competitor who shows no mercy inside the ring. Standing at an imposing height with a physique that looks carved from stone, Fatu brings a level of intensity that even veteran wrestlers respect. His in-ring style combines traditional Samoan wrestling techniques with modern high-impact maneuvers that leave opponents broken and beaten. For years, fans speculated about when he would make his way to WWE, and now that question has been answered in the most spectacular fashion possible. Roman Reigns didn't just bring back himself. He brought back the future of the bloodline, and that future looks absolutely terrifying for everyone else on the roster. The segment that followed their entrance was nothing short of spectacular. Roman grabbed the microphone with that trademark authority that only he possesses. He didn't waste time with pleasantries or unnecessary explanations. Instead, he cut straight to the heart of the matter. He talked about how during his time away, he watched the bloodline crumble. He witnessed GUSO and Jimmy USO go their separate ways. He saw Solo Sikoa try to hold things together but ultimately fail to maintain the standard that Roman had established. The tribal chief made it crystal clear that his absence wasn't a vacation or a sabbatical. It was a strategic retreat, a time to evaluate, to plan, and most importantly, to recruit. And recruit he did, bringing in Jacob Fatu to restore the bloodline to its rightful place at the top of the WWE mountain. Fatu took the microphone next, and his presence was immediately commanding. He spoke with a confidence that wasn't arrogant but rather assured, the kind of confidence that comes from knowing exactly what you're capable of inside that squared circle. He addressed the WWE Universe directly, telling them that his arrival wasn't about living up to family legacy or carrying on tradition. It was about domination. It was about taking what the bloodline deserves and crushing anyone who stands in their way. His words carried weight because everyone watching knew he had the skills to back up every single syllable. This wasn't empty trash talk from a newcomer trying to make a name. This was a legitimate threat being delivered by someone who has proven himself time and time again in other promotions, and now he was ready to prove it on the biggest stage of them all. The implications for Survivor Series are staggering. Traditional Survivor Series matches feature teams of 5 battling for supremacy, and now with Roman Reigns back alongside Jacob Fatu, the bloodline suddenly has the foundation for a team that could steamroll through any opposition. The question on everyone's mind is who else will join them. Will GUSO put aside his differences and return to the family fold? Will Jimmy USO recognize that the bloodline is stronger united than divided? Could Solo Sikoa swallow his pride and accept Roman's leadership once again? Or will Roman and Fatu bring in completely new members, expanding the bloodline beyond the traditional family structure and incorporating other superstars who are willing to acknowledge the tribal chief and fight under his banner? The possibilities are endless, and each scenario presents a different kind of nightmare for the WWE locker room. The backstage reactions were exactly what you'd expect from such a monumental announcement. Superstars who had been feuding with bloodline members suddenly looked concerned. Champions who thought they were safe now have to reconsider their positions because Roman Reigns doesn't return without a plan, and that plan always involves gold around his waist. The Raw and SmackDown rosters are scrambling to figure out how to combat this renewed threat. General managers are trying to book matches that will give their brands an advantage going into Survivor Series. And most importantly, superstars who might have gotten comfortable during Roman's absence are now realizing that comfort is over. The tribal chief is back, and he brought reinforcements that make the bloodline more dangerous than it has ever been. Jacob Fatu's wrestling style complements Roman Reigns perfectly. Where Roman is methodical and strategic, Fatu is explosive and unpredictable. Roman wears down opponents with power moves and psychological warfare, while Fatu can hit you with high-flying offense that seems impossible for someone his size. Together, they create a dynamic that covers every possible weakness. If an opponent tries to outpower them, Fatu can switch to a faster pace. If someone tries to outmaneuver them, Roman can ground them with his technical prowess. This versatility makes them nearly impossible to game plan against because they can adapt to any situation, any opponent, and any match type. Tag team specialists should be terrified right now because if Roman and Fatu decide to go after those championships, there isn't a team in WWE that stands a realistic chance of stopping them. The history between Roman Reigns and every major faction in WWE also adds layers to this story. The Bloodline has had wars with the Brawling Brutes, intense battles with teams like the Street Profits, and unforgettable clashes with almost every top-tier wrestler on the roster. Now with Fatu added to the mix, all of those old rivalries get reignited with fresh intensity. Superstars who thought they had moved past Bloodline feuds suddenly find themselves right back in the crosshairs. Drew McIntyre, who has had monumental matches with Roman, now has to consider facing both the Tribal Chief and this new monster. Cody Rhodes, who has been on his quest to finish his story, now faces an even more formidable challenge. Every single wrestler with championship aspirations just had their road to success become exponentially more difficult. The timing of this return is strategically brilliant. Survivor Series has always been about brand supremacy, but it's also about making statements. Roman Reigns built his legacy on making statements that nobody can ignore. He ended The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. He unified the WWE and Universal Championships. He dominated the main event scene for over 3 years. Now he's back to make another statement, and that statement is that the Bloodline isn't just a faction, it's a dynasty that cannot be stopped, cannot be broken, and will not be denied. Jacob Fatu's presence reinforces that message because it shows Roman isn't relying on the same old formula. He's evolving, adapting, and bringing in new blood that carries the same warrior mentality that made the Bloodline legendary in the first place. Social media erupted within seconds of this announcement. Wrestling fans from every corner of the globe started posting their reactions, their theories, and their excitement about what comes next. Trending topics filled with speculation about potential matches, dream scenarios, and debates about who could possibly stand against this new version of the Bloodline. Video clips of the segment went viral across every platform imaginable. Wrestling analysts started breaking down the implications for upcoming pay-per-views. Podcasts dedicated entire episodes to discussing the ramifications. This is the kind of moment that transcends the usual wrestling news cycle and becomes a genuine cultural phenomenon within the wrestling community. People who hadn't watched wrestling in months suddenly tuned in because they heard Roman Reigns was back, and they witnessed history being made in real time. The physicality that Jacob Fatu brings cannot be overstated. This man moves with a combination of agility and power that defies logic. He can deliver devastating power bombs that shake the ring, then immediately follow up with moonsaults that showcase incredible athleticism. His Samoan heritage means he was trained in the hard-hitting style that has produced legends like The Rock, Yokozuna, Rikishi, Umaga, and of course, Roman Reigns himself. But Fatu has modernized that style, incorporating elements from Japanese strong-style wrestling, lucha libre influences, and contemporary American wrestling psychology. He's a complete package who can work any style against any opponent, and that versatility makes him one of the most dangerous additions to WWE in recent memory. Opponents can't prepare for him using conventional methods because he doesn't fit into conventional categories. Roman Reigns has always been a master manipulator when it comes to building and maintaining his empire. He knows exactly when to bring people in, when to push them away, and when to make moves that shift the entire power structure of WWE. Bringing in Jacob Fatu right before Survivor Series is textbook Roman Reigns strategy. He's giving his opponents just enough time to panic but not enough time to properly prepare. He's inserting himself back into the main event picture without having to work his way up because everyone knows that wherever Roman Reigns goes, the main event follows. And he's ensuring that even if people wanted to ignore the Bloodline or pretend they weren't still the most dominant force in wrestling, they can no longer do that. The Tribal Chief has returned, and he's brought an enforcer who will make sure everyone acknowledges that fact whether they want to or not. The match possibilities moving forward are absolutely endless. Imagine Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu against Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. Picture them facing off against a reunited Usos if G and Jimmy decide they want to prove they don't need Roman anymore. Consider the potential of Fatu challenging for the Intercontinental Championship while Roman sets his sights on reclaiming the undisputed WWE Championship. Think about the possibilities of Fatu entering the Royal Rumble and clearing out half the participants single-handedly while Roman watches from ringside. Every single one of these scenarios has money written all over it because fans will pay to see greatness, and they'll pay even more to see if anyone can actually stop what appears to be an unstoppable force. WWE Creative has been handed a golden opportunity here, and if they book this correctly, we're looking at storylines that could carry us through WrestleMania and beyond. The emotional component of Roman's return also matters significantly. During his absence, fans got a taste of WWE without the Tribal Chief, and opinions were divided. Some enjoyed seeing different wrestlers get opportunities in the main event scene. Others felt something was missing, that undeniable presence that only Roman Reigns brings to any segment he's part of. Love him or hate him, and there are passionate people on both sides of that divide, nobody can deny that Roman Reigns is the complete package as a WWE superstar. He has the look, the skills, the mic work, the storytelling ability, and most importantly, the ability to make people care about what happens next. His return brings back that magnetic quality that keeps viewers glued to their screens because they genuinely don't know what he might do or say, but they know it will be significant. Jacob Fatu's journey to this moment deserves recognition as well. He spent years proving himself in promotions outside of WWE, building a reputation as one of the hardest workers and most talented performers in the business. He could have rested on his family name and coasted on his legacy, but instead, he went out and earned respect through blood, sweat, and incredible performances. He won championships, headlined shows, and built a fan base that respected his dedication to the craft. Now he gets to showcase all of that hard work on the biggest stage in professional wrestling, and he's doing it alongside the biggest star in the industry. This is validation for every hour he spent training, every bump he took, every sacrifice he made to become the wrestler he is today. And based on what we saw during his debut appearance, he's more than ready for this moment. The rest of the WWE roster now has a decision to make. They can either try to compete against this new bloodline configuration, or they can try to survive it. Competition requires stepping up, taking risks, and putting everything on the line to prove you belong in the same conversation as Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu. Survival means staying out of their way, avoiding confrontation, and hoping they focus their attention elsewhere. The superstars who choose competition will define their careers based on how they perform against this challenge. The ones who choose survival will fade into irrelevance because in WWE, you're either part of the conversation or you're forgotten. Roman knows this, Fatu knows this, and soon everyone else will be forced to acknowledge this fundamental truth. As we build toward Survivor Series, every episode of Raw and SmackDown becomes must-see television because we need to know what happens next. Who will step up to challenge the bloodline? What will Roman and Fatu do to establish their dominance? Will we see familiar faces return to try and stop them? Will new alliances form out of necessity? The questions keep multiplying, and that's exactly what great professional wrestling should do. It should make you need to tune in next week, not just want to, but genuinely need to because you can't stand the thought of missing what might happen. Roman Reigns has been creating that feeling for years, and now with Jacob Fatu by his side, that feeling is intensified tenfold. The legacy implications are enormous as well. Roman Reigns is already cemented as one of the greatest WWE superstars of all time, but every move he makes now adds to that legacy. Bringing in Jacob Fatu and potentially rebuilding the bloodline into an even more dominant faction could be the final chapter that puts Roman's career into the untouchable category occupied by only the absolute legends. Fatu is writing the beginning of his own legacy, and starting it as a member of the most dominant faction in modern WWE history gives him a foundation that most wrestlers would kill for. Together, they have the opportunity to create moments that fans will talk about for decades, matches that will be studied by future generations of wrestlers, and storylines that will be referenced long after both men have retired. The anticipation for Survivor Series has reached fever pitch levels that we haven't seen in years. Fans are already speculating about team configurations, potential surprise entrants, and how the traditional elimination match format could be used to showcase this new bloodline dynamic. Will we see a traditional 5-on-5 match where Roman and Fatu lead their team to victory while eliminating multiple opponents themselves? Could we see a War Games match where the bloodline's dominance is displayed in that brutal environment? The possibilities are tantalizing, and WWE has the opportunity to deliver something truly special that lives up to the hype that this return has created. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel because we'll be breaking down every development, every match, and every segment as this incredible story continues to unfold. The Tribal Chief is back, the Bloodline has a new enforcer, and the WWE Universe will never be the same.